York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And a very happy Thursday morning to you. I am Gary Sutton, and welcome to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, the main street of York, brought to you by Barley Snyder Law Firm, innovative legal solutions for your business. They are a law firm for today's business world. Gary Sutton with you this morning, Mark McKenzie, and ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, Jamie Norpel, who is the, I guess you say, director of the York County Safety Collaborative. And good morning, Jamie. How are you? Oh, I guess we have to get you, we have to move her over here. Yeah.
All right, they're teaching me how to do this. Hey, good morning, Gary. Thank you for having me bright and early.
Well, it's great to have you in. Jamie's going to be sitting in for me from time to time, and we thought we'd put her toes in the water today and see how she liked this whole thing. So she's already wowed by our huge studio here. The caterer comes in the mornings, you know, and we get dropped off in our limousines and, you know, just all the great things that we have in here. It's spacious, air conditioned. I mean, nothing too good for, no.
I particularly like the fluorescent lighting above us.
Yes, yeah.
You talk about a wake-up call at 5:30 a.m. I'm awake.
So now you've listened to our show, and you're a guest on our show every week. But is this kind of what you envisioned that we would be broadcasting from?
So I was in here a few months ago when we did Give
Right.
Local, and so I kind of got an idea of what to expect. But no, the behind-the-scenes button poking that I'm watching and the way, I mean, these cords, how do you detangle these?
Oh, it's like Christmas time. It's like Dad tells you to untangle the lights.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's where we're at here.
Well, I mean,
here.
it's really impressive because you don't really understand when you listen to it what is all behind the scenes. But when you're here and you see it and you see how everything's set up, and I was privileged to come in 20 minutes early and see your process of what you look up and how you find what you're going to be sharing. So, yeah, this has been interesting.
Frankly, it's frightening. It is the reason that we are semi-professionals, right, Mark? Anyway, so Jamie's going to be here throughout the morning. You're going to be, you know, weighing in on some of the things that we're doing, and we'll be hearing her voice. But she is going to be helping. She's learning the ropes today, and she does so much good work with York County Safety Collab. And she's also known as a historian around York. She's on a lot of those panels, and a lady of many hats, shall we say, and a former teacher as well up at Milton Hershey High School, right?
Yeah, I did that for 10 years. I love teaching history. And so this is kind of reminding me a little bit of that, going and talking with people, learning more about the community and trying to do some good.
I taught it for 25 years, so we are kindred spirits in that regard, although I must, some of the things I've heard you've done on history is really, really good. So anyway, we're going to be talking about that today. We have all kinds of things, including the question today, which I ask from time to time. And I like to ask it from time to time because I like to know certain demarcation points. And what is the one thing that most concerns you about this country today? Now, you can text me at 833-478-4729. That's 833-478-4729. Or you can go to my Facebook page, Gary Sutton Show, and put your thoughts in there. The one thing that most concerns you right now about this country today, and we asked this along the way. So, Jamie, if I ask you that question this morning, what would be your answer?
I think there's a difference between looking at the country versus state and local. So if you're talking about the country, I think it's how we treat each other online. When you go and look at some of the comments and the keyboard warriors who feel the need to tear down each other behind these shields that are our computers, I think it's extremely destructive. And I wish that there would be way more things like this where there are dialogue and people meeting and having conversations out in the air. I think the idea that we can be cruel online and not impact each other, I think is just sucky.
See, that is why we have someone so hip in here this morning. Keyboard warriors, I've never heard that term. I think that is a really neat term.
Yeah, these trolls that just go online and feel the need, again, to tear each other down. It's one, in kindergarten, my kindergarten teacher told me that if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it.
Right, yeah. They tell us sometimes that, but we still go on and have the show every day anyway. So it's that's what happens. But yeah, so think about that. What is the number one thing that most concerns you about this country today? And I think that's a great one because one of the things that we lament all the time is the art of conversation gets lost and the art of listening sometimes get lost. And what we put in its place is drive-by verbal shootings, okay? And which I know you understand with the terminology because of all what you do with the York County Safety Collab. So we got a lot of things going on today. We got that question. Today is a holy day, Mark. National Chili Dog Day. It is a holy day. It also happens to be the day that we have Augie's joint on here.
I thought you were going to take off today.
Yeah, I know. I just eat chili dogs all day. But Augie's joint has the Augie's dog up here at Central Market, and we're going to be talking about that today with you. I think it is the greatest chili dog that's ever been made, probably in the history of man.
It's also Avocado Day.
Ugh.
What do you mean, ugh? It's full of vitamins, nutrients. It's a good fat. It's a great replacement for mayonnaise.
Does it go with a chili dog?
Why not?
I guess not. You know what I do?
No, why not?
I tell you what I do enjoy. Now, this is strange. Avocados to me look like they haven't quite finished growing yet. And the texture is off-putting.
The problem with avocados is that you grab one. I think they put them out at the store,
right,
so that you have a couple of weeks to use them.
Okay.
You've got to have like a week before it gets ripe. So like me, I shop when I'm in the mood to eat, which is like daily. So I want to buy it and then I want to eat it, but I can't because it's rock hard.
So yet another reason not to get it.
It's all right. It's worth the extra. Sometimes I buy the store-bought made guacamole. I make my own guacamole, by the way.
You have said that.
Good. Yes, it's pretty good. It's also
another Mackenzian moment.
It's it. Well, you got to go outside your comfort
the boundaries.
zone.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Why?
Well, it's not like I had an avocado like.
By the way, I do enjoy having guacamole made at the table.
Oh, do you?
You go to a Spanish restaurant. I love that. I love having it. And I love fresh guacamole. Want some stuff.
Yes.
It's
cotton candy day.
Yeah.
Just makes you sticky.
Yeah, it really. I dropped that when I was about 41.
Really?
Yeah.
When was it? So you haven't had it recently?
No, I have not. I do get cotton candy ice cream every now and then just because I have a certain interest.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
I know, and I only say it because ridiculous. I ate a couple of bites and then I didn't eat anymore. It was just a momentary, fall off the main road of taste.
It's also Shredded Wheat Day.
Yeah, shredded wheat is interesting by itself. Not so much, but those the shredded wheat with the little sugar on the one side and the cereal.
Yes.
It's
mini
okay.
Wheats, yes. Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday you heard John Politzopoulos talking about his mother makes a thing called ekmek, which is a Greek dessert, has custard in it and whipped cream on top and almonds. And on the bottom, guess what it has? Shredded wheat.
No kidding.
That's dipped in honey. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you talk about calories. I mean, there it is. But I got to tell you, it is really, really good.
Honey is good for you.
Honey is good for you. Yeah.
And shredded wheat, if you remember back in the day, there wasn't any sugar on it. You had to put your own sugar on it.
Right.
So it was actually billed as a healthy breakfast. These days, we coat the heck out of it.
Well, and shredded wheat, I think, is also what birds use to make their nests. Is that right? No, I'm
you know
sorry.
what? Well,
it just looks like that.
In China, they have the bird's nest soup, which is some sort of like sparrow, and they dig the birds make their nests on this like cliff on this walk, and then they go up and they collect the birds' nests,
right,
which they create out of straw and their spit, and then they
that sounds great. Yeah.
They put them in water. Yeah, it's that's probably one of the few things I would not try. But bird's nest soup is a big thing.
All right.
It is Mutt's Day.
Mutt's Day.
You've got cats. Have you ever had a dog?
I have. I've had golden retrievers.
Okay.
I had a dog when I was a little kid named Spooky, just a black dog. I think he was some kind of I forget what he was, but he might have been a mutt. Yeah, we had a mutt. We had a mutt named Happy. His name was Happy. Growing up, Happy was part Basset Hound, part Beagle, and part Groundhog.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I mean, there's all three things in it, and mostly Groundhog.
That's a mutt.
Yeah, he was a mutt.
That's a definition.
But he was a, the thing about Happy was, he would be in our yard.
Was he appropriately named?
He was, and I'll tell you why. He was in our yard, And we'd be out playing with him. And my dad would be out playing with him as well. And all of a sudden, he stopped, and the ears would go up. And he'd take off. We lived in Manchester at that point in time. And he would take off, and all of a sudden, the phones would start ringing.
I
And
can
he was
see it in
visiting
my
all
mind.
the females in the neighborhood. Thus the name Happy. I went down one time to try to find. We had a place called Dauber's Nursery behind us. It was a huge nursery. Today it's called Dauberton. It's actually a housing development down there. But we would go try to get him. My father would go crazy. My father would be chasing him out of the yard, and he knew what was going to happen when he got home. But it was a risk reward kind of thing, I think, for Happy. And he figured, you know what? I got a lot of girlfriends, but the one time I caught him at the final house that he was visiting, and I went to get him, but he was in the act of making friends, and he growled at me. It was the only time he ever did that, and so I waited till he was
Finished.
done making friends, and then he came home.
You know what I think is interesting about that is that we don't let dogs run like that now.
No, we don't, not anymore, and we didn't really encourage it then. I mean,
What I'm saying is
just the
dogs
call
would
of
get hit.
nature.
Dogs would get hit by cars.
Right.
You would lose pets. I mean, on our old station for years, they would call us up.
Right.
You have a lost dog. Can you announce that? And all
Happy
that?
was never lost. He always had a purpose. Yeah, he made the circuit, so to speak.
There is one other day that it is today, and technically, it's not in Jamie's honor, but it is National Intern Day. I mean, technically,
I don't think of Jamie as an intern.
I'm just saying,
She's
like
so
today.
Well,
like today.
yeah, today she is a co-host today,
Yes.
which sounds so much better.
Okay.
We may think of her as an no, we're not going to think of it. I don't like that word intern. But that word intern.
What's wrong with
Yeah, I know. I just whatever. And then what else? Anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
I'm going to tell you, I just did a little prep work,
Yes.
and I'm reduced to going to the week, particular weeks where it's just not good.
May I return to the chili dog for a moment?
If you must.
Which I believe is one of the 7 main food groups. And it's, Augie's. I brag about Augie's because here's the deal. Augie's has this wonderful hot dog. And then the chili that they put on there is without beans. It's that meat chili sauce, which you and I have talked about, and we have certain rules, and that's one of the things that goes on as a chili dog, not with the beans. But then he's got this roll that's kind of like a cushion for the hot dog, and it wraps around, and so it doesn't pop out. I have a bad thing with rolls when the dog pops out or it gets all wet underneath, and then the dog goes through and the roll's there, and you got to eat them separate. Does
that happen
disgusting. Often? I'm probably going deeper into this than I should, but no. Because I don't tolerate it anymore. I go to Augie's all the time to get these. Yeah.
Did you try my suggestion with the celery sauce?
I haven't yet, but I'm going to.
Yes.
Because when you make a suggestion, my ears perk up because you are who you are. Anyway, we'll take a break. We got a lot coming your way here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Jamie will be back with us with some of the things that are happening this morning all around you.
Well,
the Main Street of York. And what else?
And the Revs won.
And the Revs won last night. I was here then too, wasn't I? Oh yeah. My 5 hours of sleep in between is really good. But yeah, the Revs with a lockdown win last night. We'll tell you all about that when we come back. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Swing and a line drive, left center field, hit deep. It is gone. Jalen Miller, who even wants a walk? It's a missile into the playground in left center. Oh man, was that crushed. And the Revs lead it 3-0 here in the third inning.
Now, what made that home run interesting, Mark, was the pitch before that. It was 3-1, and the pitch, we have a thing called TrackMan. We can actually track if it's in the zone or not in the zone. This ball was like in Lancaster, okay? It was outside, and the umpire calls it a strike. Miller steps out of the box and looks back at him. Doesn't say anything, but you can see he totally disagrees. And the umpire's standing there looking straight ahead. And so he steps back in, and the next pitch he homers, which is the absolute great answer to you got stiffed. And when he came to home plate, I'm pretty sure he gave the umpire a look and maybe said, hey, thanks for the extra strike.
Well, do you think that he, what's the psychology there of the player so he knows, so now he's upset, he's angry, and he probably wants to whack that ball a little bit harder. The pitcher's thinking, they just called that thing a strike. Yeah. I'm going to throw it right down the middle. This guy's never going to see it coming. Right. He's going to think it's going to be all over the place. I mean, there's so many aspects to this that are at work.
Well, Lancaster has a great pitching staff. They have probably the best pitching staff in the league. And I mean, top to bottom, and especially at the back end of their bullpen, the 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th innings. But Miller is one of the best contact hitters in the entire league. Very seldom ever strikes out. Hits the ball hard everywhere. Had a homer the night before. Had another homer last night, and he's just a really solid player. Yeah. So, but it was fun to watch, and the Revs winning last night 8-3, and just closing to within one game of the lead now in the second half. This is a really big series.
And they play today.
And they play today again tonight, 6:10.
I don't know if the shower's going.
Yeah, I don't know. Daryl and Ronnie will be on tonight. I did the first 2 nights, but What's fascinating about this, the Revs came in 3 games down. They were on a 4-game losing streak, and 3 games down to Lancaster, who's in first place. And now they have won the first 2 games. But think if they'd have lost the first 2, they'd be down 5 right now in the second half. 6 if they lost 3 in a row. So they played really well. They found themselves again the last 2 nights, and you love to see them claw their way back. Had the walk-off homer 2 nights ago. Last night they played from in front the entire way, and they were rock solid. So it was a really good night here at the stadium.
You think they've turned the corner?
I think they're refocused. I really think they're refocused. And they picked up a couple new pitchers. They had a new pitcher come in last night who threw it at 97 and 96 miles an hour again. So they're getting some guys that have some,
How does a guy like that, though, become available in the Atlantic League?
Well, it just lets you know how good the major leagues are. It lets you know just how many great players there are like this. And at some point in time, there's some crumbs that fall off the table, and they end up down here.
Good way to put it.
In the minor leagues or in the Atlantic League, or in the Mexican League, for example. So there you go. But anyway, we're going to get back here with Jamie for a moment or two. And Jamie, we need to have a hipness factor in here, and you provide that for us. But there's a new term out there called sloppers. And it's people who have to ask AI before they do anything. I mean, remember the kid in school who insisted on asking his parents before doing anything? Well, they may still be doing that. And now they have another person to ask. There's a new term for people who have become super reliant on AI, especially OpenAI's ChatGPT. And people who have to ask ChatGPT before anything are picking up the nickname sloppers, which is not that great a name. On TikTok, people said, a friend has coined the word sloppers for people who are using ChatGPT to do everything for them. That's incredible verbiage. Slopper, that's such a good slur. For example, a man told a story about how he was on a first date, but was surprised when the date pulled out ChatGPT on her phone to ask what she should order. And she's a slopper, and there was no second date. Why slopper? It apparently is a reference to AI slop, the often garbled, low-effort content online. Of course, ChatGPT is still in its infancy, so there's plenty of time to settle on a derogatory name for people who can't do anything without talking to AI, but we haven't gotten around to that yet. So someone else suggested, no, we won't do that. It's a bad name. But they have some other ones. Secondhand thinker is one of the other names they're thinking about. So what do you think about this? AI is in there. I see ChatGPT all the time. We go to get a definition on something, or you go in to say, okay, 14th Amendment, and all of a sudden ChatGPT lays out a summary of that. and it's pretty good. So what are your thoughts about ChatGPT and AI?
I'm a fan, actually. I use AI. I do it with my help with writing, and not all the time. I have my baseline where I'll write an article or I'll write a grant, for example, and then I go in, I'm like, how can I make this better? How can I improve it? It to me is the same as using like Wikipedia. Yep. It is not the end all be all, but it's at least a starting point. I think it's interesting that the word slopper has now been assigned because that's framed my mindset already in a negative space, because it makes me think about technology and if we're now going to be dependent on it. Because there's a difference between using it as a tool and then needing it to get out of bed in the morning.
I had an invitation to a golf tournament the other day, and it had an RSVP thing. So I said, okay, I'll send it back. I was going to go to this tournament. And I went to send it back, and all of a sudden up comes ChatGPT and says, how do you want this to sound? I had never had that before. And so I was curious. So I went in and looked at all the different ways that I could have responded, because I thought, I did pretty well in my response. But it started to add stuff. For example, I was going to this golf tournament and it said something about fondly. And so I read it and it says, what can I bring? Well, I had no intention of bringing anything. It was one of these things, I'm going to go play in a golf tournament. They've got stuff provided. I don't need to, but it inserted something that really was not part of what I was thinking. So it was kind of weird in that regard.
So do you think when it comes to your experience, because for me, AI is a way for me to hone my skills. So when it goes and looks at ways that I can make it better, I make a little note and think, okay, how can I apply this next time?
Yes.
And so there's a difference between just plugging and playing and clicking on things absentmindedly compared to, all right, how can I learn from this experience? Do you feel like there is going to be a loss in critical thinking if people just, again, click on things instead of applying it?
I think what you just said is so true. You can go either way. There could be a loss of critical thinking. You get lazy and just use it. Or you could say, well, I wrote it. Oh, that's a neat idea. I hadn't thought about putting that in there and maybe add into what you constructed. So as I looked at the different ways that people could respond, I thought, oh, okay, that's good. I still like what I wrote, but I might add a little thing like this, an adverb here or something like that I hadn't really thought about. So I always like a certain turn of a phrase. And if it's not in there, I can say, okay, well, I could use something like that to add to my work that I was doing. But I think you can get very lazy and just very reliant on that. And I think anytime you become reliant on that, then you start, you're not sourcing things out, you're not checking things, you get a little sloppy.
And things have been wrong. Especially it's one thing to, when I've used ChatGPT to look at national things, but local stuff, when you go and look, it's straight up wrong with York County history because their AI has not been equipped to look at all these different articles. I'm personally struggling a little bit. I'm teaching in the fall at York College. I'm really excited. I'll be an adjunct professor of history, and I'm writing my syllabus and I'm thinking, what role will ChatGPT play? Because as you know, as a history teacher, it's a lot of reading and writing and analyzing and critical thinking. And so because you can't catch it. The plagiarism, anti-plagiarism software cannot catch it.
Right.
Does it matter if my students use it? Is it a tool or is it just going to reduce their ability to actually do history?
I think there's a really subtle fine line there, and it's scary. I would not want to be doing that again. I taught for 25 years. You were a teacher for 10. And I tell you what, I wouldn't want to have to sit down at night and say, okay, is this ChatGPT or is this the student? Now, you know your students and you say, okay, that sounds like him, or her, but I don't know. Maybe I have to ask them about it. And then you get into all that kind of stuff. So teaching them how to use it, and again, it's in its infancy right now, and being able to catch on it and being able to tell them this is the way you can use it and this is the way you can't use it is really important. When we come back, 6:35 this morning, we've got Chris Markowski, the watchdog on Wall Street, as we take a look inside policy. He'll have some comments on the economy and much more. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 6:30.
here's a story about Billy Joe and Bobby Sue.
What's really amazing about this is how Mark can play the guitar and operate the board all at the same time. He multitasks. It's incredible.
You like it's take the money and run.
Steve Miller Band, right?
It's yes, but Chris Markowski is coming on. So
take the money and run.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris Markowski, the watchdog on Wall Street, here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Chris, how you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Hanging in there. How about yourself?
Pretty good. You know, you've got kids, and I'm starting off on a totally. You'll think I'm in the other polar region on this, but we're talking here in Pennsylvania about banning cell phones in school. You get into school, you drop them off, you get them at the end of the day. I think there's like 24 states that do that right now. But you've got kids. How did you ever feel about cell phones? You kind of govern that at all, or what are your thoughts on that?
Much as
I think we lost him for a second. Do we have you back?
Rainer.
Oh, there you go.
Crying out loud. When I was in school, you had to go to the bloody payphone, or you had to go to the nurse's office to make a phone call home. It's not necessary. It's always going to be a distraction. And I you try to explain to me what need does a kid need? What do you need your phone for when you're in class? You should be paying attention. Just that simple, and it is. It's a massive distraction, and I have no problem with it.
Did you have rules for your kids as far as use of cell phones and stuff like that as they grew older?
Yeah, you know, we because again, we always go on vacations together. Obviously, as a family, we always used to go in August. And, you know, we'd go to, I go to places where we go away where, you know, be like overseas. And then, you know what, your data was off. So I couldn't use them when they were there. So, you know, you kind of force them to have conversations and things like that. But, yeah, you know, not allowed to have, most certainly not allowed to have at the dinner table, putting it away. But, it's how they talk to one another. It's how they communicate. You know, I don't like it at all. And I try to explain it to the young interns that I have. I said, you want to be successful, especially in today's day and age with AI replacing so many jobs, you better be able to conduct yourself in front of other people. You know, you better be able to look people in the eye. You better be able to hold a conversation and stop looking down on your phone.
You know, I was a basketball coach for 45 years of my life, and one time I was talking to kids about you got to talk to the guy next to you, or the girl next to you. You got to let them know where you are. You're helping right, you're helping left, you're doing this kind of, there's a pick coming up, whatever it might be. And they weren't doing that well. I said, do me a favor, go over and get your phones. And they did. And I said, now come back out here. Now I said, text to them what you're doing right now. And they could do that. I said, now, instead of texting, now we're going to talk. And, you know, it's amazing when you show them that, they go, oh, okay, well, I get it now. And then you had to go, I said, now put your phones back and let's start talking. And that was one of the things that we did. Anyway, just thought I'd throw it at you this morning for no particular reason. So I see where the Fed decides to hold their interest rate steady yesterday, obviously defying Trump's demands for aggressive cuts. Obviously meaning Mr. Powell's going to get a fresh line of criticism today. What's your take on that, holding the interest rate steady?
I think he's kind of stuck. I really do. Again, this is the Federal Reserve Chairman and the Fed. You can't just blame it on him. They all decided to do this stuff together that has messed up quite a bit. Right now, I don't trust the numbers coming out of the government when it comes to inflation, CPI. In my opinion, I think it's much, much higher. In fact, how they're actually calculating the data is different in the fact that this time around, they actually didn't go get actual surveys. They almost made like guesstimates when it comes to it. So I think prices are much higher. Companies are saying prices are going up. Even, you know, Walmart, Target, you name it. You know, prices are going up. Not necessarily because, you know, of just monetary policy and the fact that there's more money being printed, but obviously the tariffs are playing a part in that. So again, the Federal Reserve, I think the economy is, you know, starting to weaken slowly. A lot of signs there, whether it be in the housing market, whether it be delinquencies on credit card payments, and a myriad of other things. So he's got this dual mandate when it comes to inflation and obviously unemployment, and he's kind of stuck at this point in time because I think prices are going up. Lowering rates, you know, might add some fuel to the fire, but it also might help an economy that's starting to weaken. So, you know, this that realm that we're in right now that I think we've been in for some time. It's very difficult to manage. It's like a stagflationary environment. They said we had 3% growth yesterday. You know, the bulk of that growth was due to the fact that we didn't import as much. It actually has an inverse relationship on the GDP number. And, consumer spending was up a little bit. Best part of the number was that government spending was up a tiny little bit, but business investment is way down. And maybe that'll clear. Hopefully that'll clear when we finally get some certainty after August 1st, and there's not all this bouncing around with further tariffs and all this other nonsense. Maybe they'll start investing again, but there's most certainly weakness out there.
I was going to ask you about August 1st coming up tomorrow here where the tariffs kick in. That certainly is a big concern right now for a lot of people. We're seeing a lot of spending now earlier for things like Christmas gifts and so forth than we've ever seen before because it's pre-tariff. We're seeing cars being bought because it's pre-tariff. You got a lot of that going on, but we also are seeing this. People are scared. They're not out of hotels as much. They're not taking planes as much. They're not traveling as much. They're not going on vacations as much. There's a lot of stuff going on right there, Chris. Thoughts on that?
A great point. Great point you made there. Vegas is dead. I went on my little, bounce around the country tour and, in June, Hamptons, all of these other places are dead. You take a look at even airline prices for the fall, international, various different places. It's like half off from what they were the year before. So there's obviously some slowing there in how people are spending their money, being the concerns moving forward to pull back. And again, it's the prices that you see that you're paying at the grocery store for the everyday items, whether it be car insurance, whether it be health insurance, whatever it may be. Nothing ever seems to come down.
Yeah, the beef prices are up. You got a lot of prices that are there.
Record highs.
Yeah.
Record highs for beef.
Yep.
We how is this? We got all this country, the United States of America. You mean to tell me we all watch Yellowstone for crying out loud? We don't use more cowboys for crying out loud? It's nuts.
In the Wall Street Journal this morning, it says U.S. economy is growing again, helped by trade swings and American consumers who keep spending. There are also signs of caution. We've talked about the caution, but we keep on hearing about the economy's growing at 3%, that kind of thing. And yet at the same time, people aren't feeling it. Where is the disconnect there? It's like over here you're saying, okay, here's the good news. And people over here going, I don't see it. Why that chasm in between there?
Well, again, that's part of the issue as well, is the fact of how we go about calculating things and our units of measurement here in this country. And we use GDP as kind of like one of these things. Oh, look at the type of growth that we're seeing. Oh, we're growing and GDP is growing. Look at our nation's GDP and GDP per capita.
Right.
It's not, to me, it's not the greatest barometer out there. There's other things you got to look for. You got to look at, what's the average price of rent here in this country in relation to what people are making. And then you're taking a look at the multiples right now, how much it costs to buy a home based upon a median income here in the United States. And it's so far out of whack. So, you're talking about all these great growth numbers, but people are living their lives on a bloody hamster wheel. That's not a good place to be in. That's not people that feel great about what's going on. When you have that feeling that you can't get ahead or there's no light at the end of the tunnel, that's a bit problematic. And we got to that point in time here. We've devalued the currency to that degree. We've got disconnects here in the country when it comes to real estate and how it's handled. There's a lot of things that really need to be dealt with.
President Trump hit India, or is going to hit India, with a 25% tariff plus a penalty for trading with Russia. And he's going to impose 25% on goods imported from India, plus an unspecified penalty. The thought of using tariffs for the fact that you're dealing with other bad guys or people that we don't like, your thought on that kind of principle?
You take a look at the history of sanctions, that we've had over the years and whether or not that they've worked or not, and you can see the arguments for them and against them. And I just always seem to look at Cuba, and we've had sanctions on them forever, and where's that gotten us? We've had sanctions on Venezuela, for going back since 1999, maybe even prior to that with Hugo Chavez. Again, how has that worked out? Has it helped? I don't know. I'm more of a big believer in doing business with people and handling diplomacy in that matter. I think that's a route that China's been taking, and it's opening up quite a few markets for them. They don't come into it with this judgmental type of an attitude. And they don't lecture everyone. I'm a big believer. You want to lead by example, and I think that's when we do that, I think we're in a much better place, and I think we've gotten away from that.
Yeah, I think the problem that you have, and I remember when Jimmy Carter was doing some work with different people based on principles and all that. Well, you want these other countries to have principles, but you're dealing with communist countries, you're dealing with countries that don't necessarily do things the way we do, countries that don't believe in liberty and freedom like we do, and yet you got to deal with them because that's the way the world is right now. So that's really a kind of a hard balance to keep, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and I think we don't pick up enough history books here in this country. We don't try to understand the psyche of the Chinese people and their history, which is quite a bit longer than ours. By a few thousand years and plus. I mean, you might want to understand their history to some degree and a different way of thinking. Again, we have our way, which is great, and which is great for us. It might not be great for everybody else. Again, you want to lead by example, and I think that was the way that that was the way you really broke the Soviet Union in the Eastern Bloc countries. You started seeing. There's always that story about how they ran there and the Soviet Union, some NPR piece on poverty in America, and the people watched it. They're like, "What? People in America on poverty have air conditioners and all these things." It had the opposite effect. You do that, and you show as an example at Shining City on the Hill. To me, that's the way to do things.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, appreciate it this morning. Thanks so much, man, and we'll catch up with you next Thursday, all right?
You got it. Have a good one.
Have a great week. Take care. Chris Markowski, the watchdog of Wall Street, right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, Mark, what do we have up?
Well, it's been gone since first week of February.
Oh, okay.
And it's returning tonight.
And Ozempic face. Have you heard of that? Well, some people are doing something about it as they lose weight in the country. You got to fill in the holes. We'll tell you all about that, too. And Jamie will get involved in that. Jamie Norpel, our special guest host this morning, with me right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Back right after this. I don't know if I know this music.
Listen to the lyrics.
Riding round town with all the windows down.
I do know it now. Yeah. I don't know who sang it.
It's War.
Oh, it's War?
Remember they had Cisco Kid and
Yeah.
a number
Cisco
of other
Kid was a friend of mine.
Lowrider.
Yeah.
Yes. And this was
It has the
Summer.
same kind of lead in a little bit, too. Yeah.
Yeah, Summer.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Summer.
We're
which
doing
is, by the way, is what we're in
1976.
right now, in case you haven't sweated enough to know that. But there you go. 1976?
Yes, that's what we're doing.
Okay,
today.
we have 1976 today. So, Jamie, where were you in 1976? Jamie Norpel with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show.
My mom was in middle school.
Thanks. Yeah. That was great. I was in my third year teaching at that point in time. So, yeah. And thanks for making us feel a little bit older on that. But anyway, Jamie Norpel here, who is the head of the York County Safety Club, but also historian here in York. You'll see her around at various panels. And it's going to be a teacher over at York College, which we're kind of glad to hear about. You get to impart some of your knowledge there because you're always excited and interested in what's going on. She does not, however, have Ozempic face. Okay, Ozempic face, if any of you want to know what that is, people that are going on Ozempic now are losing weight. But the downside is when you look in the mirror, suddenly you look really old for a lot of people.
Why is that?
Because you lose a lot of weight from places that there was a lot of weight. And all of a sudden there's holes and sags and things like that. You know, the eagle tattoo you had is now a pelican. You know, those kind of things. I mean, it all happens. But CNN just did a big feature on how weight loss drugs like Ozempic might be causing a huge boom in facelifts and other plastic surgery. Now, there's not a final thought on this, but people are using a ton of weight. They're losing a ton of weight faster than normal, and it's causing Ozempic face. So that's when you lose weight so fast, your skin doesn't have time to adjust. And so you end up with wrinkles and saggy skin. It's more common if you're over 40. So the same thing happens if you lose weight quickly for any reason, so it's not specific to Ozempic, but it's just the name people come up with because it's such a common issue with weight loss drugs. So people are going out and getting Botox, and they're getting fillers, and they're getting all that kind of stuff. Jamie,
Yeah. On one hand,
what are your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of, kudos for people for getting healthier. They're losing
Sure.
weight. I think
It's
it's
good.
going to be good for their heart health and long-term, longevity and their ability to get out and see the world. It reminds me of after I had my baby, women who
Right.
go through that and their stomachs and their skin. And eventually it does go back. It just takes time. And that body dysmorphia of not feeling like yourself in your own body.
Did you just say dysmorphia?
Yeah.
I think that's the first time we've ever had that word on our show, dysmorphia, especially pre-7:30. But go ahead.
But
Good word.
I don't want to judge people for wanting to feel good in their own skin.
Yeah.
And if it's what they have to do to feel better about themselves, good for them. I am curious to see the long-term impact.
Yeah, the thing is that we lose all this weight, and I've gone through that. My wife's going through that. My wife gets some Botox shots, the little
Did
shots.
you just say that online?
I did.
You're going to be in trouble tonight.
I know. And I'm actually not. She's very good about this. But I just, sleeping outside is much more uncomfortable than it was when you sleep inside. But anyway, but no, she does that, and she had me doing it too, because she wanted me to get rid of wrinkles up top and stuff. And actually, I do that sometimes when I'm doing TV stuff, so I look a little younger. Otherwise, I look at it and I say I'm old. So that's. But you look, I have two pictures over there on Mark's board that I get done that are business cards. We actually have baseball cards that are business cards. And I did the one on the right, and a guy who's in branding said, "You look too old. You're in black. It's bad." So what I did is I went to wearing a white top and took my glasses off, because he said your glasses on to make you look old. And I thought I looked a little younger, although I have my golfer's hat tan up there. But yeah, so I mean, we do have egos. We do have feelings about that. And
Yeah, but look at like Pam Anderson, right? She
Yeah.
stopped wearing makeup and has embraced this is what I look like. And I,
Yeah.
at the very old age of 34, have begun to wonder with my gray hairs popping out, do I pull them or do I embrace it? You
Yeah.
know, there's this pressure. It's interesting hearing you say it because I feel like there's a little bit more pressure on women to look young. But hearing it from you, I mean, obviously men feel it too.
well, guys, I only feel it because of what I do for a living, and I would not do that. And I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at. We guys can look weathered, and people think that's kind of ruddy and all that kind of stuff, like Mark does. Mark is ruddy and handsome and all that stuff. And but what women are looking for a look. I mean, they want to continue to look young. They continue to chase that down, and I think you're right. I think there's more pressure on women than there is on men.
I have started to notice a lot more smile lines in my pictures. And have you ever like opened your phone and your camera's accidentally turned on you and you see the double chin?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, that's what I look like.
Yeah.
Please. Like, oh girl, you need to get some work done. But I have not pulled the trigger on anything like that. I dye my hair about once a year. I get highlights and I do have tattoos if you want to consider that, like skin augmentation. But I haven't gotten to the point yet where I want to do chemicals or surgery to change myself.
Yeah, it's really kind of interesting about that whole thing. And like I said, you get to certain points in your life, you say, here's where I am.
Yeah.
All right, here's where I am. Okay, maybe I'll work out. Maybe I'll, walk every day. I want to be healthy and all that. But I'm not, I've lost my hair in the middle up here. And now I have this distinguished elder look, I guess. I don't know, maybe it's not. But that's where you are. That's where you are in life. And you just have to kind of say, okay, this is what happens. And
do you think people respect their elders? Do you think your age makes you look more wise? Or is there this like American desire to always be young?
that's a good question. I don't know if they do. I think in some arenas that happens. In other ones, they say, "Oh, how's he still alive?" But So I think it goes both ways. But for the most part, you'd like people to think that you've been through a few wars and you've gone through a few things and you know a little bit about what's going on. So you hope that happens. I think that's a fervent wish, but whether or not it really does, who knows? Anyway, there are people trying to fill in those holes once they lose weight and look a little bit better, and that's going to keep on going. Mark?
It's interesting that they never choose like a worse like glass prescription.
Yeah.
Like just make their eyes worse so that you don't see the wrinkles. Wouldn't that be cheaper?
Like somehow,
No?
like airbrushing for yourself.
Well, for
You could do it
yourself.
yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Jamie's mentioning the cell phone, and if your eyes were a little worse, you might miss it.
See, I carry a picture of my wife around all the time on my cell phone, and I think she's just perfect. She always says to me, "I'm not perfect." I said, "Well, I think you are." And so that's just because you see, through the eyes of love and all that kind of
All
stuff.
right. So the last time we had this
you
was
shut me out on that.
That's
We
it.
went right
Well,
by,
we
yeah.
got to go. I did tease this, so I'm trying to live up to the. We stopped seeing these in early February, and tonight the NFL is back.
After nearly 6 months, the NFL has returned. The Hall of Fame game takes place tonight at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio, with the Lions and Chargers kicking off the preseason. The Lions are coming off a fantastic season that ended in heartbreak. Detroit went 15-2 and earned the top seed in the NFC playoffs before losing to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders in the divisional round. For the Chargers, it's year 2 under head coach Jim Harbaugh as Los Angeles looks to build on their 11-6 season. Joe Morgan, Fox News.
And when we come back at 7:05, Joel Sears steps in with us on policy. He loves to dissect certain policies around. We'll find out what's on his mind. And then at 7:35, Dennis Owens, ABC 27 News, joins in. And we'll see what's happening with the budget here in Pennsylvania. Are we any closer to getting this thing settled? All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. But first, news at the top of the hour. It is 7 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again?
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show, hour number 2, live from the Brooks Robinson Plaza, right here at Wellspan Park, as was previously noted. So I'm being redundant from the Department of Redundancy Department. Yeah, but anyway, I'm Gary Sutton here on the main street of York. Mark McKenzie with us this morning. Jamie Norpel is sitting in with us this morning. She is my co-host today, and she's going to be sitting in for us from time to time when we take off. I haven't taken off for one day, I think 2 days maybe so far, and one was for sickness, and the other was for a vacation. Mark, on the other hand, had a week's vacation, which I'm still envious, but it's okay. It's okay. He's sitting there looking innocent, and it's fine. It's fine. But anyway, we're sponsored by Barley Snyder on a regular basis every day. They are our presenting sponsor. You know, Barley Snyder is a strategically focused law firm representing businesses and organizations, individuals in all major areas of civil law. In fact, they have 29 different areas of civil law that they practice. And they have offices throughout Pennsylvania and Maryland. And the firm's more than 130 plus attorneys will give you some expertise you could not just find anywhere without going around. Can you imagine going to 29 different places to try to find it? You go to one place here with Barley Snyder. And you can find out more about them at barley.com here in York. They're 100 East Market Street. You can give them a call at 717-846-8888. They're open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Barley Snyder, attorneys at law, from my standpoint, the gold standard here in York for getting help in the law and so many different things that we get involved with on a given day. On the other side of things, here in the 7 o'clock hour, it is brought to you specifically by Accountability for Life. Now, Accountability for Life was started by Russ Stoner, the head coach over at York High in football some years ago, and they're committed to preparing and mentoring at-risk adolescents for lifelong success. And what they do is they use an athletics-based approach, particularly with football right now, to educate them on all the principles that a lot of people said, oh, they're old-fashioned. Please, thank you. Doing your job in civics in the community, picking up things around the community. They do all kinds of projects to help kids learn those fundamental behaviors that are so important for existing and for living a good, full life. Accountability for Life mentors at-risk students through the revival of the lost pathway of developing strong traditional core values. Now, you can give them a call, Coach Stoner, at 717-577-0306. They're always looking for people to help out. Or you can stop over and see them at Accountability for Life, 755 Vogelsong Road, right here in York. Or you can go to www.aflyorkpa.info. That's www.aflyorkpa.info. Find out about what a group of people are doing to help our young people here in the area to grow up. Jamie does a lot of that with kids and working with kids, but here's yet another way it's being done through sports. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But right now we bring in Joel Sears, who is our policy guy. And each week he takes policy, tears it apart, dissects it, and he's going to do that again this morning. Good morning, Joel. How are you?
Doing well, Gary. How are you?
I'm having problems with the summer cold. I got this thing in my throat. I think it's from sweating and being in air conditioning and then being in the heat and going back and forth. And for some reason, my voice is starting to go. So I'm glad I'm going to be off tomorrow because I can let it recover. But anyway, I'm here today. But great to have you in this morning. What do you have going on?
Well, back to tariffs for a few minutes, Gary, and just a little bit of a different twist on it. You were talking with Chris earlier today about some of the uses of tariffs, and I heard something the other day that I thought was really intriguing, and that was President Trump's practice of monetizing bad behavior with tariffs.
Right.
He gets into a negotiation, or his team gets into a negotiation. If they can't get the concession they're looking for, well, then we'll just slap some tariffs on. So if we can't get your cooperation, we can get your money.
Kind of like he did with India yesterday, where he says, hey, you're trading with Russia, you're getting Russian stuff.
Exactly.
We don't like that, so we're going to slap you with a 25% tariff.
Yeah, your bad behavior is going to cost you, and we're going to benefit from it. That's the theory.
Right.
Did the same thing with Brazil. He didn't like the way Jair Bolsonaro was being treated. And so he slaps a 50% tariff on them, and you can just see what happens. Look at your local coffee shop that sources coffee beans from Brazil to see how they like it. It's one of those things that might seem, interesting and even somewhat laughable if you look at it from a 50,000-foot level. But it's not laughable if you're the person buying the beans or buying the sugar that comes from Brazil.
Right.
And it's certainly not funny if you're a farmer in Brazil who depends on the United States to sell your crop. They're the biggest supplier of coffee beans in the world. So these things have implications.
Hey, Joel, good morning.
And whether
This
that's
is,
the correct use of tariffs or not, that's what we have to live with for a while. And I think the most disturbing part of it is that it happens with the snap of a finger.
Joel, I've got Jamie Norpel with me this morning, who's my co-host this morning. She's got a question for you. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Joel. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
Hey, your comment about the coffee strikes home with me because...
I cannot hear her.
Oh, you can't hear her? Okay.
No.
Now we got her up. Go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me now?
No.
Oh, you still can't hear her.
Oh,
Just barely.
just I was talking to a local coffee shop that had...
No, you can use that. Tell Gary your question, and then Gary can answer.
Oh, got it. I was just commenting on a local coffee shop that said that exact same thing.
Yeah, local coffee shop, she said exactly the same thing that you said this morning. That was it. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's about as straightforward as it gets, Gary. There's hardly anybody between the coffee shop and the supplier of the coffee, so they see the direct impact. Here's another one. This started to tickle my fancy the other day, thinking about people who travel overseas and hearing a couple of them complain about the exchange rates and the pretty dramatic change that's taken place since the first of the year. Well, if you think about it, these exchange rates are also a hidden tariff in the sense that let's say at the beginning of the year you were going to travel to someplace in Europe where they have across that region they use the euro. The depreciation of the value of that thing is it's greater than 10% since the first of the year.
Wow. That's a huge hike.
That's a serious impact. So even with, let's say we had this negotiation and the agreement that was reached the other day with the European Union was that we would have a 15% universal tariff.
Right.
It's not quite that simple, but we'll just use that for a minute. 15%. Well, that's on top of a 10% hit in the exchange rate itself. So the effective tariff, if you want to look at it that way, is 25%. 10% of it is determined strictly by international currency exchange rates, out of the control of any particular government, of course, unless you're China. And hidden, arbitrary, subject to change, impossible to predict. That's the situation we're in right now.
Joel,
The pound is a 5.8% effective tariff. The yen 5.5%, and the yuan, which is the Chinese currency,
right,
is holding relatively stable. And I think that's at least one snapshot that shows you a little bit about currency manipulation.
Joel, you're into numbers, you're into the economy, you break these things down. We talked about the European Union deal the other day. So we come out and say, okay, we're going to have 15%, which is down from where it was before. But why not zero? Why not 0 versus 0? Why not an equal trade right there, a free trade, 0 versus 0? Is there some reason that is not an acceptable number? Your thoughts?
I don't get it, Gary. In fact, it was a 15-0. They've agreed to drop tariffs on us for the most part. And there are things in this agreement that supposedly have no tariff coming into this country. But the 15% blanket applies essentially across the board. Well, why 0 for us and 15 for them?
That's the question.
Supposedly, that is compensation for the trade deficit.
Okay.
We import more from them than they import from us.
Right.
That's a way to balance that. This is this reciprocal tariff concept. And to the extent that we think that buying more than we sell is a problem, that's why it's called a deficit. You know, we put a negative term on it when we describe it. Deficits are bad, right?
But aren't you going to have aren't deficits part of what we do sometimes? And I'm not suggesting they're great, but I'm thinking, for example, with Vietnam. Here you got people producing shirts and clothing in Vietnam, and they're not going to import the amount of things that we're going to import from them. And so you're going to have a trade deficit just because they're a smaller country, specific things being imported, whereas the United States has all these varied things that we would send out. Well, they're not going to be able to use all that. So you are going to have those deficits and those discrepancies along the way, are you not?
Of course, Gary. You have it with the grocery store. When was the last time the grocery store came knocking on your door and said, you spent $130 with us this week. Can I buy $130 worth of your voiceover services?
Yeah, great
They're
point.
not balancing trade with you. This is ridiculous. The whole concept, I mean, when you look at it from the standpoint of cheating, I get that. Or dumping, I get that. But when you talk about strategic relationships with countries like Germany or Great Britain or Mexico or Canada, it makes no sense at all. We've done this intentionally, not only to give our economy a boost and to give our folks the most bang for their buck, but to help some of these developing economies actually develop.
Now, the question is it working, Joel? Is it working? And if it's not, what would be an alternative way to go right now? Final thoughts.
To me, the alternative way is to identify, and it's not that hard, who your real friends are, drop these tariffs, understand that there's going to be this quote-unquote imbalance, and get on with it. If you want to do something that let's say, equates to a punitive tariff, you don't like the way Uyghurs are treated in China, for example.
Right.
We'll deal with that for what it is. Don't do this sort of through the back door punishment, hoping that it's going to trickle down and somehow or other benefit the Uyghurs. Deal with it face on. Go to the UN. Do what's necessary. Use the institutions that were designed to deal with those issues.
Yeah,
but don't pretend that everything can be solved with a tariff.
I think the problem that we have right now is most people haven't seen the result of the tariffs in a positive way, or what they're going to do, if there are going to be positive ways. And what they're seeing is the negative ways, where we're having, as we said, a slowdown in people going on vacation this year, a slowdown in hotels, a slowdown in places like Vegas, a slowdown in airline travel, all of that because people are worried pre-August 1st, when the tariffs supposedly kick in, as to what's going to happen. We're seeing people shopping earlier now because they want to beat the tariffs. So what does that mean for after the tariffs? So we have a lot of questions that are out there right now, but I'm not sure that the positive results of that are very visible at this moment. Final thought on your part.
Well, I guess we'll see, Gary. August 1st is tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So
next week we'll have a chance to at least look back a few days.
Well, and the other part about that, too, is that all of it seems negotiable. All of it seems like, well, August 1st, unless we make a deal with it. Okay? And so people are going, wait a second, then what's August 1st? Well, that's kind of all the people we haven't made deals with. Okay, what does that mean? So there's still a lot more questions out there, I think, for a lot of people. And again, this is not being, right, left, or anything else. It's just looking at it for what it is, that it still is a big question mark here for a lot of people in the country. Joel, always appreciate what you bring to the table. Thank you so much, my friend. Good conversation today. Looking forward to next week with you.
Same here, Gary. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, my friend. Take care. Joel Sears, right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOIK. And I really mean that. I think people don't have the answers yet. We'd like to have exclamation points at the end of the sentence, not question marks. Jamie?
I'm interested to see, I'm hearing all these people, your guests today, talk about the negatives of tariffs. So I'd be curious to see what's out there that's saying why we're doing this in the first place.
Exactly. And I think that's what a lot of people are asking, because they don't understand or see the end result yet. Now, President Trump obviously is sold on it. He's whether you like him or don't like him, he's pell-mell going forward on that. And yet at the same time, a lot of people are saying, are you creating more problems than you're solving with that? And August 1st is coming tomorrow. We'll find out a little bit about how all that goes. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more. Mark, what do we have around the corner?
Fox Sports Update.
There you go, Fox Sports Update. And maybe some news you might have missed. Yes, we found it. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Fox Sports Update.
Making trades before the baseball trade deadline. I'm Jared Max. Several major league teams were busy Wednesday altering their rosters, trading players and acquiring new ones. Former Seattle Mariner Eugenio Suarez, who's hit 36 home runs for the Diamondbacks this season and leads the National League with 87 runs batted in, appears to be on his way back to Seattle. The Diamondbacks are getting a trio of prospects from the Mariners for Suarez, who played in Seattle in 2022 and 23. This season, Suarez has 36 home runs, 5 fewer than the Mariners' Cal Raleigh for the major league lead. This trade getting worked out 1 week since the D-backs dealt first baseman Josh Naylor to the Mariners. Seattle 57-52, currently tied for the final American League wildcard playoff spot. In the National League East, the first-place Mets and second-place Phillies both made moves Wednesday. The Mets made trades with the Giants and the Cardinals for 2 top relief pitchers. The Mets got Sub-Mariner throwing right-hander Tyler Rogers from the Giants for 3 prospects, and right-handed reliever Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals for 3 minor leaguers. Rogers has a 1.80 ERA, Helsley a 3.00 earned run average. While he has 21 saves, Helsley is expected to be a setup man to Mets closer Edwin Diaz. The Phillies traded a pair of prospects to the Twins to get closer Joan Duran, who has a 2.01 ERA with 53 strikeouts. The Reds made a 3-team trade with the Rays and the Dodgers. The Reds got right-handed pitcher Zach Littell from the Rays. Littell has an 8-8 record, 3.58 ERA. Cincinnati made another deal. The Reds got defensive-minded third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes in a deal with the Pirates. The Cubs got starting pitcher Mike Soroka from the Nationals for a pair of prospects. Soroka has a 3-8 record and 4.87 ERA. He's hit 14 batters this season, most in the league. You can download the Fox Sports Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show. And news you might have missed. Now, this is news that isn't necessarily true, but it's based on stuff that has happened. And we try to, with tongue-in-cheek, present this to you. And so, for example, the Federal Reserve decided not to lower interest rates despite pressure from President Trump. Now, President Trump's also disappointed that interest rates in the Epstein files have not gone down. He would like those to go down, too. That hasn't happened yet either so far. Those interest rates, different kind of interest, though. Right. Yes. Researchers say guys need to lower their expectations on dating apps. All right? Really important. Lower your expectations. Now, here's a sign you're on one of them, fellas. You're on a dating app. If you're one of them fellas, you're on a dating app right now. Yeah. You know, what are you doing? Right. What are you doing? I used to tell my mother, my mother would be on dating apps. I say, Mom, they're all axe murders. You don't go to any of them. No, they're all axe murders.
Did she ever go?
She did.
And?
She had some dates.
And did she have a good time?
Well, once they put their axe down, she did. She had a great time, but it took a while. No,
once she escaped.
She did. She actually met 2 men that she had. So it was okay.
Yes.
Yeah. A golfer in the UK sank a hole-in-one on his 90th birthday. We told you about that yesterday. He will remember this for the rest of his life. So basically 6 days. Yeah, he'll be no. This guy's in really good shape, by the way. I saw a picture of him yesterday. He's in great shape. Cool. So he'll be playing a lot more golf, I think, before it's all said and done. This is scary. A woman taught her dogs how to play Uno. Okay, another stinking board game.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a card game.
And now they hate her. Okay. I mean, what a waste of time when you really think about this. I mean, with all the backstabbing and cold, heartless ruination of the other players, this is clearly a game for cats.
Well, it's not only that, but they can't shuffle.
No.
It's just cruel.
No. And you know why? Because they don't have thumbs.
Yes.
And which is what I remind my cats when I have to feed them treats at night, no matter what time I come home. I hold the bag up and I say, you see this? Your kind will never control the world because you can't open this bag. You can't do it. Anyway, ICE arrested a carpenter named Jesus, spelled Jesus. Jesus. Proving once again they know not what they do. Just a little biblical reference there. I don't know. Yeah, I hear 4 guys just signed book deals to write about it, so we'll see what happens on that.
4 guys.
Yeah, you got it. Experts say marijuana smokers are more likely to have a stroke or heart attack if Taco Bell eliminates their dollar menu. So that's one of the things that's happening out there as well.
Munchies.
Yes.
So I hear.
Yeah, experts say the universe will contract and inevitably cease to exist Let me try that again because it was really bad.
Yep.
Experts say the universe will contract. So you have to put it the right.
I
It gets
see.
smaller,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
See, the other time was we'd have a contract with we can't do that.
It's close.
And inevitably cease to exist in 7 billion years. But hey, that's Joe Biden's problem. So we don't have to worry about that. Let's see what else we have. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, is now saying greenhouse gases are not a threat to public health, which is good news. However, Waffle House gases are a different story. That might be. Yeah, if you've ever been to a Waffle House, it might be. Anyway, it's National Avocado Day, which Mark has embraced. Although it should be National Avocado Hour because that's how quickly they go from ripe to rotten.
It does seem that way sometimes.
Yeah. Today is National Chili Dog Day, and I do not want to watch John Mellencamp celebrate. I just don't want to know.
Why not?
No, I don't know. Anyway, let's see what else we have. Cosmetic surgeons are reporting a growing number, and we talked about this earlier, growing number of patients with sagging skin and facial hollowing after they shed pounds with the help of weight loss drugs. It's being called Ozempic face. We talked about that a moment ago, which I guess is better than having a McDonald's waist. Ozempic face versus McDonald's waist, probably a little bit better. Let's see what else. The best places for IT careers are Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and if you never want to run out of work, my mom and dad's house. Okay, so that's where you can go for that.
But you don't get paid.
Yes. Ozzy Osbourne was laid to rest yesterday, and Sharon will have him back on tour by the fall. So what can we say? The Grand Ole Opry has celebrated 100 years. What a run. 100 years. Thousands of shows and 6 teeth. So there.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I know you did. I'm so predictable.
No, it's just country. It's 6 teeth.
Aaron Rodgers says the Steelers have a shot at the Super Bowl. So yeah, he's still taking acid. I mean, we're pretty sure about that. And
AFC East going to be tough.
You got it. And Hulk Hogan beer has become a bestseller since his death. By that logic, expect Quaaludes to fly off shelves once Bill Cosby kicks it. Okay, so that is your news you might have missed. And we are at the bottom of the hour. But coming up next, Dennis Owens, ABC 27 News, will talk about the budget and what's going on in Pennsylvania. Nobody has a handle on it like he does, and he'll join us here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOIK. Do want to remind you, this hour being brought to you by AFL, Accountability for Life. I tell you what, Russ Stoner and the people over there are doing such a great job mentoring at-risk adolescents through a revival of the lost pathway of developing strong traditional core values that were such a prevalent part of our parents' and grandparents' generations. He's doing it with accountability. They're doing it with scholarships. They're doing it with getting kids to work together, and they're doing it every single day. Why don't you check them out right now at www.aflyorkpa.info. That's www.aflyorkpa.info. Or give Russ a call today at 717-577-0306. He's always glad to talk to you. Accountability for Life is at 755 Vogelsong Road, right here in York. WOYK News Time is 7:30. 1976 was the year. The music today coming back. I am Gary Sutton, and welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on the main street of York. Oh, I love this song. Yeah.
No more sleeping in bed. No more back thinking. Time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty.
Who sang this, Mark?
Wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way.
Yeah, this is Teddy Pendergrass.
Yeah.
But he was working for Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Yep.
And all you got to do is hear him start to speak, to sing, and Teddy's the man.
Yeah, he is.
So, and Harold knew that too. The problem was, Harold says, the group is called Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Right.
So he tried to get, Teddy to stick around, but without, I think he even added his name at one point. But Teddy thought, you know what, I'm just going to take off. And of course, he had a solo career as well. But his life had, he was very sick. He was in an auto accident.
A wheelchair because
paralyzed.
Yeah.
Yes, all kinds of.
Yeah, he was quite the entertainer, but that certainly
had that
changed
voice.
things. Yes, he did.
Yes.
I had a voice at one time too. I'm losing it throughout the show here. There's a summer cold or something. It's
looks like Dennis is incognito.
Dennis might have been called out on assignment today, so Dennis
It's possible.
is not here.
Does that mean there's a deal in the budget?
No, it doesn't mean that at all. Probably. Well, you never know. It might be. But we're with Jamie Norpel this morning, who is our co-host. And Jamie, we talk about the things that are happening here in York. And I know you come on every Tuesday with us and you talk about the things that are a safety collab and all that kind of stuff and what you're doing preventatively, proactively. We always talk about those kind of things. But as you look around York here and you look at where we are, who we are, I've often said York is the place that doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up. That back in the old day when the city was the place you went for all of your basic services, you got your clothes for the school year, you went to the entertainment places, and it still is that to some degree, but it moved out back in the 70s and out to the suburbs, and we saw malls, and now we see shopping centers, and then we had all that. What is York right now as you look at that? If you gave a definition and you look around, because you deal in history, but you also deal in the safety aspect, but you're right there in the center of York doing your business every day. Talk about that.
Are you thinking the city or the whole county?
The city and the county, kind of a construct of both.
Yeah. So when you guys were talking about online dating before, I'll come clean. That's how I met my husband. I swiped right, and we've been together ever since. But
he doesn't know Nax, right? No. Okay, good.
He owns a lot of old cars.
Okay.
So
all right.
Yeah. So we're working through that. But one of the stipulations when I was dating is that I'm not moving. If one of your goals is to retire in Florida, or if you have this dream to move to San Francisco, I'm not leaving York County.
Wow.
And a part of that is my family is here, and family is so important. I never felt alone as a kid because I could always call somebody. I have a huge supportive family. And so in York County, I knew I wasn't leaving, but now that I have come to age here, gone through my rite of passages, went to high school here, college here, I did work in Dauphin County for a number of years. I love this community. Between our county parks, right? Like going outside, I just took my son to Nixon Park 2 days ago to walk through the stream because it was cold. Because it was cooling him off. So I think York County, it's a good place to be here. And especially if you look downtown. When I was in high school, this is what they said. I didn't believe them. This is where you went to get shot.
Yeah.
But now you walk downtown, and between the beautification of the sidewalks and the trees and the work to reduce the graffiti and tagging, I love it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot here. I use the downtown all the time, and I love it. And of course, we're downtown here now broadcasting, which I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to be in York City broadcasting, and we're here. There was a movement to do that some years ago by our former Susquehanna Broadcasting. They were going to put us in a building down here on the top of a building, but they wanted to put us outside. So we, in the top of this building, and they were thinking about doing that, and we were thrilled. And then they said, "Nah, deal didn't go through." But there's so much, and yet I look around, and there's so much potential. Every day I go out Philadelphia Street, I see the old Waterway sitting there, the Waterway restaurant. And I actually used to do a show in there some years ago, like a little trivia show and stuff like that. And I think, why aren't all these places being populated? Why aren't people able to, as part of the revival, get those kind of places going? I hate it when I see empty storefronts. I get crazy about that. And yet, you hear people still say, well, I don't know, the downtown's not as safe. And yet we see First Fridays, people are flocking down here on a regular basis. And maybe just the way we deal with things has changed a lot. I don't know. Your thoughts on that?
I think people have to then come downtown if they don't want to lose these businesses. Like, for example, we've got Bound Bookstore that's out there on Beaver. And instead of going, and it's easy, I'm a culprit of this. It's easy to go to Amazon and purchase a book because it's going to arrive on your door 2 days later.
Right.
And buying local is a little bit more expensive, but you're also supporting your neighbors. So if we don't want to see these restaurants go away and these businesses go away, then we actually have to patronize them.
Well, we saw Mesa Moreira close up its doors the other day at the corner of Beaver and Market right there. It was sad. It was Portuguese food, great place. They had entertainment in there, and it closed down. But I'm as guilty as anybody. I only went there about 2 or 3 times, and I loved it. But, you need to have customers coming in on a regular basis, and that's tough for the downtown. I remember the downtown was the place that I went to get my trombone lessons as a kid. And I went the whole way in on a bus from Manchester.
It wasn't the trolleys?
Oh, no, it wasn't the trolleys then. And the horses weren't pulling them either. But no, I come in on a bus.
Fit
and
right in.
Yeah, thanks. And I thought it was the coolest thing. That, when you went into the city from the outside in the rural areas, you thought, this is it. And then when I could do it myself, I was going in and out. I was like a big timer. But the Bon-Ton was there. It was like an old Macy's. It was big time. You saw Bear's department store, Gregory's. You saw Jack's, which is now where a Holy Hound is. You had all those different things, and it was just bustling because everybody came here. It was the county, the city, didn't matter. You came here to do your stuff. And now you see a lot of little stores opened up, storefronts that may come and go over a period of time. I know there's a lot of good people trying to make this thing happen. And we've tried to make it a historical thing for a long time. It does have a lot of history, and yet it's history that you almost have to go into the weeds to explain to people, as you well know, for people to really kind of get involved. Your thoughts on that part?
You have to walk around to appreciate the nuances that is York City. We have a fast car economy. Modernity has led to us being on our phones and in our cars and moving very fast. But if you take the time to walk downtown, so 2 weeks ago, I started a historical walking tour.
Okay.
Just pop-up tours. I don't want to be committed to like every Friday or Saturday. I don't want to have to tell LLC. I want to just do it when I feel like doing it for a good cause, for a fundraiser.
Right.
And so we started down at the Plow Tavern, and then we went east on Market the whole way up to the square. Then I went north on George, and then back down Philly. And along that route, you saw everything from, I talked about the Bon-Ton and the importance of shopping downtown, the Constitution, right, Articles of Federation, German, Pennsylvania Dutch culture, but then like small little things. Like, have you ever noticed on the Rupp building there where Prince Street Cafe is, there is it's not a gargoyle, because technically gargoyles have to have a water feature. It's called a grotesque.
A grotesque.
There's a little feature up on the Rupp building of an animal that looks out on Market.
Wow, I never saw that.
Next time you're downtown, go and look. That would be a fun for your audience if they go out and they see it, and they can make a comment on the Facebook page about what they see out there.
Wow.
And the trolley booth is right there, the T Dome there.
That I used to take when I rode the No. You know what was interesting about the trolleys, though, and we talked about people with trolleys, that they went out to these various places like Manchester and Dover, and there were amusement parks out there. In fact, you go out to Brookside and Dover, they still have like the merry-go-round room there that the merry-go-round was inside.
We had one at Farquhar Park.
Yeah. Farquhar Park was another one. Out in Manchester, they have Park Avenue, where there was an old park, and people would go out of town to go to these parks and come back in. So it was pretty neat. All the arteries led back into the city. But today it's almost like people look at the city and they look at the county in two different ways. And they say, here's the county, here's the city, and never the twain shall meet. Unless you have to go there for court services, or maybe you go to the Appel Center or whatever it might be, or maybe you come down to a Revs game. But it is, do you sense that it's changing at all? Are people starting to come in here a lot more and use the city more and get back to integrating the county and the city together?
I'm seeing my generation, millennials. So I graduated from Dallastown in 2008, and my generation will go down to Holy Hound or Collusion. They'll go out. Now, York County does not have a great nightlife. We have great assets like the Appel Center and things to do, but especially when you compare us to Lancaster, we don't have that. But we still have things to do. If you're on Facebook and you see the events. So I'm seeing that. That, though, concept of the differentiation between the city and the county, I don't know when that started. That'd be a good question for Jim McClure to talk about the history, and has it always been around, or where did that form?
Well, when I was a kid, it really wasn't. I mean, when I came to the city, I didn't think about there'd be any problem with my health or my safety. I walk up and down the streets, and I was a kid then, and then I just had to know where the bus was. So I come back home to Manchester, and after my trombone lesson, that was what I knew. And then I also knew when it came time for a new school year, we were going to go there and shop for clothes. My dad had a tailor at Gregory's, a little place down there, and that's where he went to get his suits. I knew that we could come in there and go to the theaters sometimes, various theaters like the Highway Theater at that time, or various places like that, or go to the Capitol or the Strand or something along that line. So, yeah, I mean, we treated the downtown as it was just a place you went.
And this isn't unique to York. This is happening all over the country when you see the decline of Main Street America. In the 1970s, Market Street used to just be a through. There were tractor trailers that would just go straight through plowing. And so people were exposed to the exhaust, the smells, the grime. And then the mayor that we had in the 1970s said, what can we do to deter truck traffic so they can start using Route 30? And that's when they put in that serpentine right there on Market. We're talking about the first block west.
Right.
And so growing up, I just assumed that the landscape and the structures that are York City were just organic and they just happened. No, that was intentional to try to get more people to the downtown to feel safe as pedestrians.
Right. Yeah. So very interesting. And you have those conversations going all the time. And I think there are people trying to get York to grow up now to the present day in 2025. And it's not the same city that I had back then. But you know what? It doesn't have to be. It can be a different place, and it can still be very enjoyable. York County and York City. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and when we come back, some news. Flood watches up for today. We're going to tell you about that and some other news as well. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is 7:47. The Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Boss Skaggs bringing us back here this morning. 1976 was a year for our bumper music today.
Yep.
I am Gary Sutton, and GM Balvo Mitsubishi wants me to remind you that summer heat can put some really serious stress on your engine. Make sure your coolant levels are topped off, your radiator is working properly. Overheating is one of the most common causes of summer breakdowns, and who wants that, right? So, Jamie, make sure you top them off right there. We want to make sure you're not left out there somewhere. That's so important. And when you talk about GM Balvo Mitsubishi is ready right now to have some great deals for you. In fact, pre-tariff deals, making sure that your price is locked in. And, of course, tomorrow the tariffs kick in. So it might be a good day to get on down there and see all the good people at GM Balvo Mitsubishi right there at the corner of Roosevelt Avenue and Route 30 in York. They are ready to make a deal with you right now on some great cars down there like they did with me. I got my Mitsubishi Outlander back in February, and I have been nothing short of just thrilled every single day. I didn't get a lot of bells and whistles, but I've got a car that really, really has a GM Balvo guarantee behind it. That's going to have great service, great value, and that's exactly what's happened. Why don't you check them out today? Stop on down there at the corner of Roosevelt Avenue and Route 30 in York. And also, while you're there, you can find out about how to finance the 2025 Outlander at 0% APR for 60 months. You can enjoy rates as low as 2.9% for 48 months. 2.99% for 48 months APR on the 2025 Eclipse Cross, or save $2,500 on the Mirage Black Edition. Fun, efficient, and affordable. There's no pressure. There's no gimmicks. Just real value on vehicles that you will love. GM Balvo Mitsubishi. Drive a Mitsubishi, experience the GM Balvo difference, and regret nothing. I'll tell you what, they know how to get it done, and they can do it for you. I'm Gary Sutton. Tell them you stopped down at GM Balvo. On my say-so, I'm also a customer.
So, Steve Shetter seems like a pretty competent guy.
Test pest.
Yes.
Test pest, yeah.
Yeah.
Total exterminating services.
I mean, he's told us about some harrowing experiences.
Showed us a film yesterday of a rat.
Yes.
About the size of a dog in someone's home he was going to go visit. Yeah.
Shocking. Nothing seems to scare him. But hopefully we can ask him about this next week, because it's not just a wasp nest. It is a wasp nest that was radioactive.
Workers at a site that once made key parts for nuclear bombs found the nest, which had a radiation level 10 times greater than what's allowed by federal regulators. Officials claim there's no danger to anyone. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, employees who routinely check radiation levels at the Savannah River site found the wasp nest on a post near tanks where liquid nuclear waste is stored. The workers sprayed the nest with insect killer, removed it, and disposed of it as radioactive waste. No wasps were found. John Saucier, Fox News.
You know what that means.
They're spreading radioactivity around the country.
They're probably in Nevada, and they're huge. Just like those 1950s science fiction movies where radiation automatically meant that they grew an incredible amount. Right?
He's rolling, fans. Yeah, he's rolling. Anyway.
Hey, let's talk about technology.
Go ahead.
Are you ready?
I am.
Here's a story about using, you were talking earlier with Jamie about, what do you use AI for? Well, YouTube wants to use AI to figure out how old people are who are watching their videos.
Bouncers at bars and nightclubs will want to check your ID, but now YouTube is going to be using AI to determine your age and whether or not you should be allowed to view certain videos. Either its creators or the system itself has flagged as potentially inappropriate. On their blog, YouTube says when teen users are identified by the AI, it will automatically engage its protections, like turning off targeted ads and turning on reminders to take a break from watching endless videos. And if you swear you are old enough, YouTube will allow you to use credit cards or government IDs to verify your age. Eben Brown, Fox News.
And in the weather, WEATHER, a flood watch has been issued for some counties in south central Pennsylvania, including York and Adams, according to the National Weather Service. That's today. It's in effect from 2 p.m. today until 6 a.m. tomorrow. So from 2 p.m. today till 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, we are going to have a flood watch. Flash flooding will be possible from storms expected to roll through the area from Thursday afternoon into tonight. That's today. Okay, and storms could produce 2 inches of rain per hour, the advisory states.
Don't drive through huge puddles.
No, don't do that. The area could receive a total of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, with some spots getting up to 5 inches. We got some pretty horrible storms here of late.
Yeah, this summer. Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's talk about health.
This is House Call for Health. A paralyzed woman regains the ability to use a computer with a Neuralink brain implant. Kurt, the cyber guy, telling Fox and Friends the story of the first female patient, Audrey Cruz, who's been paralyzed for 20 years.
It was surgically implanted into her motor cortex. That chip decodes her intentions wirelessly to move a cursor and spell Audrey. Patient, as she's blogged that I've tried writing my name for the first time in 20 years, LOL. Well, then Elon Musk grabbed that, reshared the post. She is controlling her computer just by thinking, he wrote.
For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady. Fox News.
One of the great ways to cool down right now is to think about Christmas. Now, we've had a lot of people talk about Christmas in July. Well, it might be sweltering outside, but the city of York is thinking about the upcoming holiday season.
Oh.
And they're looking for a tree for Continental Square. Now, maybe you have one. That's according to a news release. The tree will be lit during the annual Light Up York celebration, which will be held on Friday, December the 5th. The city is looking for a spruce tree that is more than 30 feet tall. And if you have one of those, it would be interesting. There's no cost to the homeowner for the removal of it, the release states. Anyone who has a tree might be suitable can contact Carol Godfrey at 717-845-9351. That's 717-845-9351. Carol Godfrey. Callers will need to provide their name, address, and phone number, and their tree.
It's funny that you should mention holiday shopping right now.
With just days before those August tariffs take effect, people aren't willing to wait until Black Friday to score the best sales. They're doing it right now. In fact, a survey by the research firm Civic Science found 21% of people have already started their holiday shopping, compared to just 16% this time last year. Macy's cashed in on the trend. They're running a Black Friday in July sale right now. They're selling holiday items, but also everyday needs like clothes and beauty products. Earlier this month, Amazon doubled the length of their Prime Day to 4 days. They say they made record sales, but we still don't have an exact number. Walmart and Target got in on the action and ran competing sales.
I thought that was interesting.
This hour has been brought to you by AFL, Accountability for Life. Russ Stoner and his people over there are doing just a great job on making sure the kids are being held accountable, also getting scholarships, and they're doing it through sports. Check them out at aflyork.com. When we come back, we're going to be joined here by Dr. ATN on wellness and depression. It's 8 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the final hour of the Gary Sutton Show here on a Thursday morning. It's my final hour for the week. Aaron Anderson will be in tomorrow for me. But our show always brought to you by Barley Snyder, attorneys at law. I'll tell you what, 29 different areas they cover at one firm. Yes, they do. And they know what they're doing. They have 130 plus lawyers who are really good in each of those 29 areas. And they're ready to help you today. All you need to do here in York is give them a call at 717-846-8888. They're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And they're right there at 100 East Market Street, right next to the Yorktown Hotel. But Barley Snyder is a place where you're going to find a lawyer at one firm who might be able to do the job for you in whatever area of law you need to be concerned about. And isn't it nice to know you have a one-stop shop for all of that? But this hour also brought to you by Augie's Joint. Augie's Joint is located in the Central Market, and I'll tell you what, I went up there the other day to get my Augie's doggy. Yes, I did. And I'll tell you what, it is just amazing the number of people that are coming there at lunchtime. They're open 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Right there on the Beaver Street side, you go in the Beaver Street door, you'll see Augie's Joint right there. And Brent and Jewel Fleming are just doing a great job of putting together some sandwiches that you've never, ever tasted before. They are really good. And Elijah, who's there with them, also doing just a wonderful job. But I'll tell you what, Augie's is also going to be very important on National Night Out. They're actually going to be cooking from 4 to 6 p.m. And you can find out more about that. But they are going to be cooking from 4 to 6 p.m. The Downtown Resource Center at 44 West Philadelphia Street in York. And all the great tastes of Augie's are going to be there for you. And it's free for all ages. National Night Out in downtown York, that's on August the 5th, coming up next week. So make a point of seeing Augie. But if you stop by there today, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., today is National Chili Dog Day, ladies and gentlemen. May I suggest to you what I think the greatest chili dog is? It's Augie's Doggy. Yeah, Augie's Doggy has dog sauce on it, house onions, mustard, and cheese. Spicy brown mustard, may I say. And it is my favorite chili dog anywhere. So check it out today at Augie's Joint. And they've got cheesesteaks, burgers, walking crunch, tater tots. They've got it all. As I hear a bag being shuffled somewhere right now.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm eating, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. Anyway, right now, he normally was with us on Friday, but he's with us today here on the Gary Sutton Show because I'm not going to be here on Friday to talk to him. We're talking about Dr. Gracia Etienne, former orthopedic surgeon here in York, but now he is the head of York TMS. York TMS is a clinic which is trying to help people who have depression. It really is. And they've got some different ways of going about doing it with some brand new techniques in York. They're not brand new, but they're brand new to York. And Dr. Etienne joins us here on the Gary Sutton Show. Good morning, Dr. Etienne. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you aboard this morning, albeit a different day. But, you know, you talk about having a good day. How many times we say to someone, have a good day, have a great day. And there are people that we talk to sometimes, we can't really see behind the mask of what's going on with them. And maybe they are going, it's impossible for me to have a good day. I really don't know how to have a good day. What do you do with people who, you know, are friends of yours and you're saying, I need to try to help you. I want to help you to have a better day. I want to put a smile on your face. I want to get you going. That's not always an easy thing to do with people who are suffering from depression on any level, right?
No, definitely. You actually brought a very good point. Many times we use those expressions. I would probably say just to be pleasant and keep moving on in a conversation. But we need to learn to be intentional about those expressions. I mean, when I say have a good day, I want you to have a good day. And as part of that willingness to have you a good day, I need to be willing to participate in the process, whether it's finding someone who can help you, or if myself I can help you. I should be willing to make myself available to do that. So it's not just an expression to end the conversation. It should be a more active way of saying that I'm here for you. I want to make myself available. I want to participate in the process of your wellness.
You know, it's so important, Dr. ATN, that we listen, maybe not just with our heart, but with our eyes, with our ears, that our whole being listens to people, because people are sending messages a lot of times when they're talking about depression, when they're talking about how they're feeling. They're sending you messages. They're afraid to send it to you directly, but they're sending it to you nevertheless. And so we have to kind of tune in. I'm thinking about the guy who shot up the building in New York this week, who drove from Las Vegas and got a gun out and goes up and kills 5 people. I'm thinking about out in Reno, Nevada, another guy went out and stabbed people, killed 3 people. Before we get to those points, it's important for us to really hear them, or try to the very best of our ability to hear them and somehow get to some help, right?
Yeah, there are actually 2 aspects to that. The first one, there are people who are going through depression, but who are not even aware themselves. So they have all the signs of symptoms, although subtle or maybe multiple. They don't even know about it. So it is incumbent upon us to actually detect those signs and be able to bring it to their attention and make it a conversation. But the other part is what you actually lead to. Some people, they are, because of the stigma, they don't know how to express it. They don't know how to even start the conversation with anyone. They don't know how to bring it up to the level where they can get help. And that's why we say very often in medicine that there are a lot of underdiagnosed or undiagnosed depressions out there, simply because people are not aware.
You know, I look at this and I say, okay, so what are some of the things that people can look at to see depression in someone else? What are some of the telltale signs where you can say, hey, could I get you to the right place? Could I get you to the York TMS clinic? Could I get you some help? What are some of those things that people are looking at on a regular basis to see signs that one might have depression?
On an everyday thing, it may be the simple fact that someone is slowly losing interest in the things that they used to. I mean, it's not like you're still doing the show.
Right.
But the enjoyment that you had in it, the fulfillment that you had in it, it's no longer there. So you're slowly slipping into that. So I can tell you, when that starts happening, the next step will be a total withdrawal. And that's another sign. People start withdrawing from activities, and they're not responding to invitations anymore. Simple things like that. They are not as organized as they used to be. Even in terms of hygiene, sometimes you can see little steps like that. People are slipping away.
People are slipping. Yeah,
they are showing. Some people, unfortunately, express just the other side, because they start showing signs of irritability. They're not as tolerant anymore. And you can see signs of sorrow in their face. And other people will start expressing feelings of guilt a lot more, and they may have fatigue. They may have trouble eating and trouble sleeping and trouble concentrating. There are so many, and again, not everyone will come with the whole list. And that's why we, as friends, family, or acquaintances, we need to be aware of those and bring them to light, because the depression is not going to come with a whole list and say, okay, this is it, this is who I am.
Right. Well, you treat depression at York TMS Center right there at 1806 North George Street in York, and you treat it at the source with the NeuroStar transcranial magnetic stimulation. That's where TMS comes from. But it goes right to the source of the depression, which is your brain. And you use this NeuroStar machine. And I know when a lot of people hear the machine, they think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in some place where I'm going to be closed in. Oh my gosh, it's going to hurt, all that stuff. And none of that is true here about the NeuroStar machine, right?
That is correct. We are blessed enough to partner with the device maker, the NeuroStar system that is very well tolerated, and it's a simple coil, one coil, not even a helmet. It's a coil that is placed right at the center for depression, the area of the brain that controls depression. That system allows us to do a very focal, localized, individualized treatment for the patients, because even the strength of, let's use the term strength here, the strength of the pulse can be targeted for specific patients, the location of the coil and everything, and the patient will be sitting very comfortably in a chair, having a normal conversation with us.
Right.
So I can say, the NeuroStar system for me, I can see it's by far one of the greatest, if not the greatest, system in terms of transcranial stimulation.
It's fascinating because I stood there one day and had the whole thing lasts about 19 minutes. It's non-invasive. You drive your car there, drive home, all that stuff. But I was talking to someone as they were sitting there having it, and they were very relaxed. You have a relaxed kind of almost like a lounge chair, and you sit back and you go right to the heart of waking up the brain from depression and getting those areas back up and running again. You want to wake up those areas, help your brain work the way it should. But you're at 1806 North George Street right here in York. People can call you at 717-699-7361. But I would ask you, ladies and gentlemen, if you know someone who has depression or if you have depression, stop one out there and see them. Just go in. You've got packets of information, but you'll sit there and talk to people and tell them all about it, how it works. You don't have to be referred there by a doctor. Most insurances are going to take that and run with it. And it's just an outstanding way, if you've tried some other ways that haven't worked, to add to your repertoire of what might work in curing depression. That's what we're on a mission to find out about. Right, Dr. Etienne?
That is correct, Daria. And I can say that I am so proud, if I can use that term, to offer this to the community. It is a great service. And like I said, every week, you and we are on a crusade to create awareness that about depression and how to manage it, and for people to understand that you are not alone, and you don't have to deal with all the side effects of whatever you're taking. And if you're not getting the help, you owe it to yourself. I'm going to put it in the strong terms. Yep. You owe it to yourself to actually find out, because we are here. It's a free consultation. We'll sit down and go over everything with you and make you understand whether or not this is something you would like to try.
Right. No pressure, just information and education, and then you decide if it's something right for you. And I'll tell you what, I've seen it in action, and I think it really works well. But, you can check them out. Again, stop by 1806 North George Street right here in York. It's called York TMS. Check them out today. Dr. Etienne, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Dr. Gracia Etienne here on depression. 280 million people worldwide suffer from depression, ladies and gentlemen. So it's the old days of the stigma of saying, nobody ever, I would never get this. Well, guess what? I have it, and I've dealt with it my whole life. And I'll tell you what, it's a journey. That's not always the most pleasant thing, but, you go find help. And I tell you what, you find it in great places. Dr. Etienne, well known in York as an orthopedic surgeon for a long time, now bringing a service called York TMS right here at 1806 North George Street in York, Pennsylvania. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got a lot more coming your way. More with Jamie Norpel, my special guest host this morning, who is co-hosting with me. More from Mark McKenzie. And we'll be back right after this. It's 8:18.
Pitch. Swinging a ground ball to second, right at Miller. He's got this one, throws to first, and the game's over. Revs win it 8-3. They take the first two from the Stormers.
And the Revs last night won 8-3 over Lancaster, who's in first place in the second half. Now, the Revs have already wrapped up a playoff spot by winning the first half of the Northern Division. But they were on a little bit of a downward trend there for a while. Lost 4 in a row, had lost 5 in a row right here at the stadium. And the last 2 nights, they look like the Revs that we've come to know and love during the early part of the season, and had a lockdown win last night. They played from in front the whole way. Last night, by the way, was the first time, you'll be interested in this, Mark, in 10 games that the other team has not scored in the first inning. First time in 10 games that the other team has not scored and taken the lead at the top of the first inning. So maybe a new trend last night, but the Revs looking really, really good right now. They play again tonight. They're scheduled to play again tonight. We'll wait and see what happens with the rain. 6:10 is airtime. Let's see. Daryl and Ronnie will be on at that time. I was on the first 2 nights. I will not be there tonight. I'm glad because my voice is probably not going to hold up through the night, but 6:30 will be the first pitch. So the Revs scheduled to play the final game of the series with Lancaster, and they are looking for get the sweeper out. The sweep, you see. So all of that happening tonight here at Wellspan Park, okay? It's 8:23 here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. And Jamie Norpel, my special co-guest host this morning, she's going to be sitting in for me from time to time, and I got to tell you something, and I'm probably going to make her blush. I don't know if she blushes or not, but she's about to find out. She might be one of the smartest women outside of my wife that I've ever met. She knows more about like the safety collab, history. I mean, she is well-versed in a lot of areas. So I just want to say that publicly here, Jamie, because you are. And very much, comfortable in who you are and very pleasant to talk to, but very, very knowledgeable. And, of course, to do this show, you don't have to be that knowledgeable. I'm doing it, but you can.
I appreciate that, Gary. You better watch it, though. My hat's getting tight. You're making my head kind of big underneath this.
So here, I'll ask you a weird question. So you've been here now this morning since about 5:30. What do you think of this? You've heard it from the other side, and you're on every week with us from the other side. But now you're in here, kind of like Mark says, where the sausage is being made. What are your thoughts about doing a talk show?
I think that's an unfair metaphor. My family actually makes sausage. And
yeah. All right.
And I enjoy it because I know now where my food comes from and how it's handled. And same with this. I can see behind the scenes how you guys operate and the nimbleness that needs to happen, be able to respond and be flexible. I mean, it really is a skill set. And, in the 21st century, we are in an attention economy. Between our phones and our computers, we always have something to steal our attention. So the fact that you have people still willing to listen to you and give you their time is quite a gift.
Well, and we really appreciate it. And we appreciate you being here today. And I'll appreciate it even more when you're going to be sitting by yourself here and I'm going to be swimming or playing golf somewhere. But I saw a story today. Despite a pressing need for lawmakers to find new revenue sources, recreational marijuana will not be a part of this year's state budget. But the long-running debate over, legalizing the drug is still progressing in Harrisburg now that a key state Senate Republican has finally unveiled a proposal. He is State Senator Dan Laughlin from Erie and Sharif Street, who's a Democrat from Philadelphia. Both cannabis advocates would legalize use of the drug for adults 21 and over. It would also allow existing medical marijuana dispensaries to apply for a permit to begin recreational sales if they pay a $100,000 fee. I don't quite understand the fee, but I guess it's getting money. Sounds like a political kind of thing. And they also are saying that they would have a state board that would oversee the medical marijuana that's sold by these private dispensaries. How does that hit you on first blush?
Growing up in York County, I can't believe this is where we're at in in 2025 because I grew up in the age where we had Pennsylvania liquor and state stores, and we still do, of course, but now you can go to Rutter's and get beer and, stop at Sheetz, and it's just very different. On one hand, the libertarian in me loves that now people can have access to what they want, and there is absolute science between medical marijuana helping anxiety and depression. So I fully commit to that. But there's this other part of me that just kind of wonders, Pennsylvania is not a pioneer state. We're not the first usually in a lot of things, but I think if we can look at places like Colorado and other states that have legalized it, it's not like their walls came crumbling down, and it's almost like the temperance movement, right? Like the ills of society are exposed. Prohibition didn't work, and look at what, it has not worked in Pennsylvania either. So there is, though, this little asterisk of, I'm keeping the reservation to say I'm not sure if I'm going to love it, but I'm curious to see what happens.
Well, what's interesting to me is when politicians get their hands on it, it's like if it moves, tax it. They may not call it a tax. $100,000 fee. Small business might get $50,000 fee. Right. Bottom line is, I kind of call it a shakedown. But
it's a sin tax, right?
It's a sin tax, and the idea is, okay, we don't think it's a very good thing, but if you're going to do it, let's go tax it.
Yeah. Well, and also, so about, I have to look back at the exact date, but about 6 years ago, when medical marijuana was more open in Pennsylvania, it was a boom for farmers. There are about 60 farmers in York County who had contracts to grow marijuana. And I remember the first time going past a field down in Leaders Heights area and turning left on Union Church Road and seeing weed growing. I had to stop my car. I'm like, I was, awestruck. But those farmers, now it didn't actually work out this way because then there was a flood in the market. But for those 60 farmers, it was a chance for them to have a brand new crash crop too.
On the other hand, being devil's advocate, when you see what some people do with this, or some people still say it's a gateway drug. Mm-hmm. I know there's a lot of debate over that. One of the reasons it's not in the budget right now, even though the governor wants it there and some other people want it there. So you still got the debate going on. People are not comfortable with putting that in the budget just yet. We'll see where it goes. Jamie, thanks so much. And by the way, I don't think you're in trouble, but your boss is up next here at 8:35. So you get a chance to talk to him from a different point of view. He'll be in here tomorrow. Aaron Anderson will be sitting in for me. But he happens to be, I guess he's kind of your boss, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There you go. Yeah. So Aaron's going to be, he now knows where you are this morning. And I wonder where Jamie is. Why isn't she in the office? Well, she's right here.
You gave me my hall pass.
That's exactly right. And he'll be with us to talk about things happening in York. We always like to get his look at what's going on around the neighborhood and what's going on in town. And he wears a lot of different hats. He's a pastor. He's a CEO of Logos Academy. He's a dad of 6, husband of 1. And he'll be with us here to talk about all of that in a lot of different ways on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is the main street of York. Back with more right after this at 6:30. Or make that 8:30 rather. Welcome back. The Gary Sutton Show is KC and the Sunshine Band. Bring it back. Going to be a little sunshine out for a while today, and then Valhalla supposedly is coming down around 2 o'clock on. We'll see how that works out. By the way, this hour being brought to you by Augie's Joint right there on the Beaver Street side of the market. They're right there in Central Market. And I'll tell you what, 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., they are kicking out some of the best lunches. I've been up there. It's a frenzy at lunchtime. Jamie Norpel, who's with us this morning, should probably stop up there. I don't know if she likes hot dogs or not, but after that, yeah, she's saying yes. Augie's Doggy. Today is National Chili Dog Day. And if you're not celebrating it, ladies and gentlemen, you should be. Yeah, they have an Augie's Doggy up there, and what they have on that is dog sauce, which is chili sauce without beans. They've got house onions. They've got cheese. They've got spicy brown mustard. And then they've got this wonderful, like, mini roll, which is a different kind of roll than most hot dog rolls I've ever seen. It's almost like a mini hoagie roll, but it's soft. And the hot dog goes in like your head on the pillow just kind of sinks down in there. And it's just beautiful. So you can stop by there at lunch today and ask for an Augie's Doggy. That's my favorite. And Jewel and Brent and Elijah are just absolutely lovely people, and they're going to help you out. But they also have cheesesteaks there. They got barbecue chicken. They've got burgers galore. And Augie's Burger, by the way, which is also an amazing one. They've got walking crunch, taco meat, lettuce, pico de gallo, cheese, and sour cream. They've got all kinds of extra tater tots there. It's a great lunch, and people have found out about it, and they are getting out there every single day between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday at Augie's Joint. And by the way, you go in the Beaver Street side to get there. Augie's going to be cooking on August 5th from 4 to 6 on National Night Out. He'll be right there at Augie's Joint on the Beaver Street side. You can stop in there 4 to 6. They're normally not open then, but they will be on National Night Out. Get on over there to Augie's, and they are ready to cook up a great lunch, or on that night, National Night Out, dinner for you. WOAK News Time is 8:36. Aaron Anderson with us this morning here on the Gary Sutton Show. And Aaron is the CEO of Logos Academy. He's the lead pastor at Living Word Church out in the Red Lion area of York. He's a father of 6, a grandfather, I think, of 2 now, and just one. Sorry about that. And a husband of 1. Good morning, Aaron. How are you? Are you there, Aaron? Do we have Aaron on? Apparently.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, there he is. Hi, Aaron. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I had to, thanks for that clarification. That was very important.
Well, I think it is. I mean, people need to know that stuff, and you have so many different roles. And by the way, if you were wondering why Jamie hadn't showed up for work yet, she's right here.
You just never know with her.
We're going to get her on mic. We're going to get her on mic here right now. But she's sitting here, and we're training her to be a sit-in host for us when I'm away and when you can't do it. Because you're doing it tomorrow here. The lonely job of being a talk show host tomorrow, Aaron Anderson will be sitting in for me.
That's, as long as Mark McKenzie is there to provide some guardrails, we should be safe.
Yeah, he is. And Jamie's here this morning. Jamie, do you want to talk to Aaron at all here and let her know? Oh, we can't use that. Oh, that's right, we can't because we don't care. Anyway, she's just sitting here. But she's in a good place. She's in a good place.
I'm sure she's a good student. You both were former school teachers.
Yes.
Which is good. It's good. So she's. Yeah, we can say she's mostly responsible. How's that?
Mostly responsible. Well, that sounds like a guarded statement if I ever heard one. So what advice would you give her as a guy who is doing this now for me? What advice would you give Jamie as a would-be talk show host? Because she will be in sometime soon when I decide to finally take a vacation.
Your show is a wonderful balance of the local side, but she's great because she's the historian. She knows the history, so that's to her advantage. So the main street of York, but you got to have it's a mix of having a lot of fun with a little bit of serious with some news built in there. So it's informative, but it's a lot of fun. You got to be prepared to have a little banter and a little guided can I say nonsense, guided nonsense?
Yes.
Is that appropriate?
Mark and I are always so serious. I mean, we really try to be serious all the time, but yeah. No, you're right. Guided nonsense. Yeah, there's a limit. But it's a fun show. I was trying to explain to Jamie this morning about how we do it. And it's hard to explain. I mean, I never have to explain to people too much because I'm here almost all the time. But and Mark, same thing. Mark's much better explaining it than I am, frankly. But we try to tell people this is what we do. And Jamie was saying, is there any rhyme or reason to the 3 hours? And we said, frankly, no. But it is kind of fun to. There's
some rhyme and reason there.
Yeah, there is. There's
a little bit of rhyme and reason. We've talked about that. You cover the most important news of the day, so you're keeping people informed. You give a little commentary, but you're also, where else would you find out that it's National Chili Dog Day?
That's right.
Or where else are we going to get that kind of information?
That kind of information. If you'd have been unaware of that, think of you'd have looked back. You said, didn't anybody care? Didn't anybody want to help? Didn't anybody want to make me? Are you a chili dog fan, by the way?
I'll eat a chili dog. It's probably not the normal way I would do it, but I certainly will. I won't turn one down. Let's put it that way.
I do know that you are a Central Market traveler, though. I do not. I saw you there one day.
Accurate.
Yes.
Yeah, that is accurate. We've lived in the city we've lived in the city almost 20 years. So Central Market is high on my family's list of places to go.
I want to have you put your pastor's hat on for a moment, and also maybe your just citizen's hat on for a second. We see this guy that drove from Las Vegas. He apparently was a security guard in Vegas, and he drives to New York City this week, which seems to become the center place for trying to commit crimes right now down in Times Square. Gets out of his car, goes into a building where the NFL is, supposedly wants to shoot up the NFL floor, but he gets the wrong floor, and 5 people died needlessly because this guy wanted to have his brain checked. He had depression of some kind. He was hurt. He was hoping to be in the NFL someday. He played high school football, apparently pretty good. But you keep on hearing these stories. Another guy in Vegas pulls out a knife, kills 3 people outside of Reno. What do we do here? How do we get people? People, I think, maybe I won't say foolishly, but wrongfully, always want a black and white answer to something that doesn't seem to be black and white. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think you first have to begin to diagnose, what the heck is going on wrong in society. I think we're regularly encountering people, really sadly, that are people. I talked to a guy yesterday who, is like, I don't have anybody, and when you hear that, I know that's a reality for some people. People either A, don't have family, or the family has died off, or there never really was a family. So we're not created. Go where my pastor said, we are not created to be alone. God made us for relationships with each other, and that's why Jesus said, loving your neighbor is the fulfillment of the law. So I think you have to start there. You look at the volume of mental health, and even in our own community here, we're seeing a pretty sizable uptick in homelessness.
17%.
We know,
yeah,
17%. You look at that and you say, man, we have got to figure out how to go back to the root at some level and say we have to figure out how to get people into healthy relationships. And I really do say, not to harp on this, but I think it starts at home, and we have to help people figure out how to live in relationships with each other. Anyone knows marriages and parenting and family, they're difficult. They can be very hard, but they are the places, I think, that are very essential to raising. If we think about kids, raising kids to be healthy, contributing people. Otherwise, I think you got to look at what we're seeing across our society and say, if you're not looking at it saying there's something fundamentally off and wrong, then we're obviously not looking at the same picture.
I drove down. I was playing golf yesterday, and I drove down Market Street, to head over to Queen Street to turn left to go down to the lot that I park in at the stadium to do a game last night. And as I drove down Market Street yesterday, there were homeless people lined up literally down that whole couple of blocks right there where you have like Penn Street all the way down to almost to the square. And I'm thinking, what is going on? How is this all happening? Can you put your finger on why? I mean, the national rate is 18% of people are homeless here in the country right now. That's going up, or growing at 18%. 17% here in New York. So we're right there close to the national average. What is going on? Why do we see all these people who are without homes? I drove up George Street the other day, and there's some people out in front of this one building who sleep there overnight, right outside the building. I'm thinking, what is going on? I mean, I guess I'm jaded a little bit, and yet at the same time, I'm concerned as a fellow citizen on why we can't get these people to some better places right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it strikes me that there are probably multiple factors. You know, one. I mean, everyone knows everything's getting more expensive. You know, I think you got to look at that. Housing has become expensive. I've watched just my own kids as they're getting married. They're starting to look at housing, and I tell you, the cost of homes in New York County has skyrocketed over the last several years. So it is expensive. It's expensive to find places to rent. I mean, there are a lot of good jobs. The jobs are paying a lot more than they used to. But we have to look at, a good economist could look at it and say, well, how far are those extra dollars, how far are they stretching and going? And clearly, when you layer into that, Gary, when you're talking about issues of homelessness, the mental health related issues, we're going to have to solve the problem of how we provide better care to people. Obviously nationwide we're wrestling with that about what do we do with people who are living on the streets who have mental health issues and then become violent. And it's not just we're not homeless people are not the only ones who are dealing with mental health issues. I think across society there's a lot of that. So I think it's a host of factors that are really, really complicated. I spent years serving on York City's redevelopment authority, and from a development standpoint, it's just expensive also to develop real estate and do it in a way that you can still keep rates affordable. It's a challenge. I would say it's a multifaceted conundrum to solve.
One final thought on this, that President Trump came out the other week, and the Trump administration actually, and talked about getting homeless off the streets and getting them into health care that can help a lot of these people, because a lot of them there's a lot of mental problems there and so forth. But getting people to the right agencies and so forth that they should be going to, and yet at the same time they're saying, hey, community at large has rights too, and they don't want to be attacked every day. They don't want to have someone, squeegeeing their windshields every day, coming up and asking for money at the square, whatever it might be. So that's out there. Rudy Giuliani tried that with the broken window theory in New York, and it worked for a while, making New York a destination. What are your thoughts about that very quickly?
I think we're going to have to reckon with the fact that it's going to cost us a lot of money to solve some of these issues. Yeah. Now, Gary, one of the things I'd say, though, we also live in the wealthiest nation in all of history. And so, there are no shortage of resources for us to deal with and solve some of these challenges, not only just here in our country, a country of 300 million people, but even some of the issues as you go around the world where places, don't have clean water. I mean, we're talking about problems here in our country. These are solvable. They're going to cost us some dollars. I think we have to, the citizens of this country are going to have to say, we can't do this alone. We're going to have to do this together. It's going to probably cost us more money. Nobody's going to want to hear that. In a country where we talk constantly about keeping our taxes low. Look, and I want to keep as much money in my own pocket as possible. I don't want higher taxes either. But when we're talking about very, very broken social systems, if we're going to do it together, which I think we could, with the resources are there, but it's going to be expensive to do it.
So, Aaron, looking forward to having you in tomorrow as the host of the Gary Sutton Show. And thank you again for being able to do that. And thank you for being our guest today. Appreciate it.
always good, and look forward to being there tomorrow, Gary.
Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you then. Aaron Anderson here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We'll take a break. We'll come back with some final thoughts from Jamie this morning, final conversation, and maybe a couple other stories here before we get out of here on the Gary Sutton Show. It is the main street of York, right here on WOYK. Is this the Beatles?
You know what's weird about this?
Go ahead.
Is I had a number of the versions of this song to choose from, and the problem with Beatles songs is they were recorded back in the day when there were 2 tracks.
Right.
So
right.
You had the left and the right, and you don't always get a good stereo on YouTube. So obviously this one, it's just one side. You can hear the other side faintly, but you don't hear it the way you should. So My apologies.
Yeah, that's and
more explanation than you needed.
No, I think it was fine.
Okay,
I think it was fine. I'm looking here this morning. The U.S. economy grew at a 3% rate in quarter number 2, which is a better than expected pace, even as President Trump's tariffs hit tomorrow. I'm going to get Jamie in on this. But, Jamie, the problem that you have right now is we see these numbers out there, and yet people don't seem to be feeling it, but they continue to spend. People are going into debt on credit cards and stuff. I mean, it's kind of a wild convergence of 3 different things right there that's hard to understand. Do you make any sense out of that?
I feel like people want their cake and to eat it too sometimes. Like, for example, the average European spends about 25% of their salary on food.
Yeah.
You want to guess how much the average American spends on food?
Go ahead.
10%.
Really?
Right. So we don't value food as much, and we're talking about food prices going up, which is a legitimate concern, right? That is a basic need and everyone needs to eat. But also, people around the world spend a lot more or higher percentage of their income on those basic needs. So I think we have a lavish, dare I say, like self-centered society where we want to be able to have our basic needs and go on vacation and have recreation. And we might have to change that up a little bit.
We were talking with Aaron a little bit, and I wanted to get your take on this because you're concerned about the downtown. You're constantly working on that in the county. But it was disturbing to me yesterday as I drove down Market Street to see the number of homeless people who were sitting outside. And it was very plain that they didn't have a place to go to. I came down George Street the other day to turn right on to a place to go to Regis Glen. And there were 2 ladies who were getting up from their self-made bed in front of a building. And I look at them and I'm thinking there's a history there. There are people that need help. And this idea of 17% more homeless people down there is a frightening number. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you're working in the safety collab and doing things like that. And I don't know if this directly comes across, but it is part of the whole thing.
There are a lot of organizations in New York that are working to support the homeless population. We have Friends and Neighbors is a huge one, and then we have the Homeless Coalition. So there are people who are working on this. This is a double-edged sword for me because frankly, when I walk down the street and there are people who are catcalling me and look, disheveled, I get uncomfortable. And I hate saying that because they are human beings. Now, on the other hand, there's one man who is homeless whose name's Bob. And I met him because I was at the Prince Street Cafe having a meeting. And when I came out, he had drawn a picture of me and he gave it to me. You can tell with no expectation of payment. He was just a nice guy. He was an artist who gave me that. A couple days later, I saw him and he had a bag of toys. I was out with my 2-year-old and my 2-year-old was able to pick from a bag of toys. So we have this incredibly nice human being who clearly we have mental health concerns, but is the onus completely on them or is it up to us as a society to figure out how we can wrap our arms around them?
Yeah. So we didn't scare you off today, right?
I'm still here.
Okay.
I enjoyed the 3 hours. This has been a lot of fun.
Good. Well, we really enjoyed having you aboard. Keep up the great work with the York County Safety Collab. We really appreciate that. We'll look forward to having you in here as a guest host very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Jamie Norpel here this morning. Mark McKenzie doing a great job as always. Do want to remind you this hour has been brought to you by Augie's Joint. And today, if you're thinking about having lunch, think about Augie's Joint. It's right there at Central Market. So the Beaver Street side, just go in the door right there and Augie's is there. And you'll know because there'll be a crowd there getting sandwiches everywhere you look. They are just doing a great job with all kinds of sandwiches constantly and a great lunch all the time. And don't forget also on National Night Out on August 5th, they will be open 4 to 6. They're normally open 10 to 2, Tuesday through Saturday. They'll be open 4 to 6 on National Night Out. A great place to go for a great sandwich or a great dinner. Augie's Joint, 10 to 2, Tuesday through Saturday, and on August 5th, 4 to 6. Mark?
All right. So a final story. You've been talking about hot dogs because it is Chili Dog Day.
Yes.
But what about...
Habit Burger Grill turns out the best fast food burger in the country, according to USA Today readers, who anointed it number one for the second year running for its double char, with its 2 freshly char-grilled beef patties, caramelized onions, fresh lettuce, and tomato, pickles, and mayo on a toasted bun. In second place, A&W's Papa Burger, the Jumbo Jack Cheeseburger from Jack in the Box taking third place, and the Double Double In-N-Out Burger slipping to fourth. Also making the top 10, burgers from Culver's, Five Guys, Shake Shack, Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, Burger King, and Whataburger. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Any response?
No. A burger, to me, needs to be juicy and thick and wonderful and have cheese, tomato, and mayonnaise on. I'm a happy camper when
I like them smashed.
I know you do. You've made that point several times.
And tomato.
Well, fortunately, I'm saying goodbye for the week because my voice is going. Aaron Anderson will be in for me tomorrow. Thanks to Jamie Norpel for being here today. And we'll have all of our normal things lined up for you tomorrow. Jim McClure will be here. We'll have Ted Check. And we'll have a lot of people ready to talk to you tomorrow, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Thank you for putting up with my voice today. Don't forget the Revs scheduled to play tonight, 6:10 airtime, 6:30 first pitch. I'm Gary Sutton. Have a great day, everyone. It's 9 o'clock.